Good day everyone, I can assure you one thing. After watching this video to the end, you will be able to draw any carbohydrate structure, both the Fischer projection and or the Haworth projection. So stick with me to the end of this video. Now, before we begin, you need to understand that carbohydrates are made up of there are two forms of carbohydrates. We have the aldoses and the ketoses. Now, what's the difference between aldoses and ketoses? Aldoses have aldehyde functional group, while ketoses have ketone functional group. You are still going to understand as we proceed, so relax. You don't have to understand at this point. Now, I'm going to be listing out the common aldose carbohydrates and the common ketose carbohydrates, mostly monosaccharides, because monosaccharides are the building block of carbohydrate. They are the basics. Disaccharides are made up of two monosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are made up of 3 to 10 units of monosaccharides. Polysaccharides are made up of more than 10 units of monosaccharides. You can see monosaccharides are very important, and that's one of the reasons I'll be looking at them into this view. Now we have the trioses. Now, from the word triose, it actually means that three. Tri means three. We are still going to get there, just relax. So the triose we have for the aldose and the ketose. We have for aldose we have glyceraldehyde, and for ketose we have dihydrogenation. Now you must be wondering, why is it called glyceraldehyde? Why is it called dihydrogenation? Now let me draw the structure for you guys. Now before we begin, one thing you need to know is that carbohydrates are from glycerol. Now what's glycerol? Glycerol, let me write it out for you guys. Glycerol, from the word raw, sounds like alcohol, right? So if you've done your carbonyl compounds and all of that in organic chemistry, you should be familiar with what glycerol is. Glycerol is basically 3 carbon and trihydroxy group, meaning that it has 3 hydroxy group. So this is glycerol. Now now you must be wondering, how do we get glyceraldehyde from glycerol? Now I'm going to explain. To get glyceraldehyde from glycerol, all you have to do is to remove, this has to be 2 here, because carbon has to be bonded to 4 groups. So 1 group here, 2 hydrogen here, 1 here, 1 2 3 4, and this also 1 2 3. This also has to be 2. I hope you are getting my point. This cannot be 2. This cannot be 2, because if we have 2 hydrogen here, 2 4 or 2 3 4 5, that's already 5 bonds. So and carbon cannot be bonded to 5 substituents. It has to be bonded to only 4. So here we have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. I hope you get my point. So this is glycerol. Now how do we get glyceraldehyde from glycerol? All we have to do is to dehydrogenate it, now by removing 2 hydrogen atoms. Now how do we remove the 2 hydrogen atoms? You might want to say, okay, let's just remove 2 hydrogen atoms from here. But no, we are not going to do it that way. We are going to remove it this way. One thing you should know, that this reaction is guided by catalysts, by enzymes, depending on the environment. So we are not going deep into that. All we have to know is that there is dehydration and dehydrogenation, rather. Let me write it out for you guys. Dehydrogenation. So when there is dehydrogenation, hydrogen is being removed. The hydrogen is being removed here. Now if hydrogen is being removed, note only on the first carbon. Now this can be our first carbon, this can also be our first carbon, so we'll just go with the one at the top here. So if we go with the one at the top here, what are we going to have? We're going to have one, sorry, it's not the pen I want to use, sorry. We are going to have 1, 2, 3. I'm drawing for the, sorry, let me, it's too big. Okay, so we are going to have 1, 2, 3. Now that we've removed one hydrogen here and we remove one hydrogen from here, we don't want cheating, so we remove one from here, we remove one from here, because this one has 2, this one has 1. We don't want to do teaching as, okay, let's remove 2 from here. No, we remove one from the right hand side, one from the left hand side. So we have oxygen remaining and we have one hydrogen remaining, and we have OH here, we have H here, we still have H2 here, and we have OH here. Now oxygen will be like, no, I only bond to 2, I only do 2 bonds, I don't do one bond, so we have to give oxygen 2 bonds here. So oxygen has 2 bonds and the rest has 1 bond. So this structure here, without background knowledge of carbohydrates, with your basic knowledge of the hydroxy family, alcohol and all of that, if you want to name this compound, how are you going to name it? Now looking at this is going to be glycerol. It is from glycerol, and now we have an aldehyde group here. We got it from glycerol, but now we have an aldehyde group here. We are going to name it as glycerol 1 aldehyde. So we just neglect the 1 and just call it glyceraldehyde. And this glyceraldehyde is the basic structure, like the smallest unit of all those carbohydrates. It is the basic structure, basic component of all aldehyde carbohydrates, the smallest you can get of all aldehyde carbohydrates. So in case you're asking your next exam, the smallest or the lightest those carbohydrates is glyceraldehyde. Now another thing can happen. Instead of the H2 being removed from the first carbon or the last carbon, know that if it's removed from the first carbon or the last carbon, it's still the same thing, because we can start our naming from here or from here. So if we say it is removed from the third carbon can also be our first carbon if we start naming from here, from basic organic chemistry. Now let's say it's removed from the middle. If our issue, if our glycerol is dehydrogenated from the middle, we are going to have something like this. We are going to have our OH is going to be intact, our H2 is going to be intact, but there's going to be a problem. Okay, so H is going to remove from. So if H2 hydrogen is going to be removed, 2 atom of hydrogen is going to be removed. That means since there is no 2 hydrogen here, we only have 1 hydrogen on both sides, 1 hydrogen here, 1 hydrogen here. We have to remove the 2. We don't have any choice. Here we removed 1 here, we remove 1 here, but we still have 1 left. But here we remove 1 here, we remove 1 here, but we don't have anything left since it's at the middle. So we are going to have only oxygen here. We remove the 2 hydrogen, then we are going to have OH here, and we are going to have H2 here. So if we are to name this, now look at something. Imagine that we don't have okay. Now if I'm to name this structure separately, remove the OH totally, name this structure separately, it's going to be something like this. It's going to be something like this. This is how it's going to look like. It's going to look like this. It's going to look like C and C. Then it's going to be O like this, and there's going to be H2. Hope I'm not making any. Okay, so this cannot be like this. Okay. There's going to be H2 and there's going to be H2 here too. So okay, 1, 2. Okay. We need one. There has to be 1 more hydrogen. This is going to be H3 because carbon has to be bonded to 3. Carbon has to. Let me write it out for you guys so I understand. So let's draw it out. There's going to be H here, H here, and H here, H here, H here, and H here. So that's CH3, CO, like that. So this structure here, without having any idea of whatever we are doing, this structure here, if you are to name this with the basic organic chemistry rule, how are you going to name it? This is going to be CCC. So this is 3. So I want you to pause this video and try to name this compound, or probably type the name of this compound in the comment section. Yes, so this structure you are seeing here is the smallest ketone you can get. It's the smallest ketone you can get. It's the smallest ketone you can get. And what's another name for ketone? They are called alkana. So this is going to be okay, this is going to be propana or propa1A. And the other name for propana is basically acetone. We mostly call it acetone. So this compound here is basically acetone. This is acetone. That is standard name. This is acetone. So if we have acetone here and we have 2 OH attached to acetone, so what are we going to name it? We are basically going to name it we are basically going to give it a name that looks like it. That is dihydroxyacetone. If you are getting my point, dihydroxyacetone, since it's from acetone, we have 2 hydroxy attached to acetone, that is dihydroxyacetone. So that's basically it. So that's how we get the two smallest basic unit of the aldose and the ketones. Now since we have the smallest unit, the other is easy. Now I'm going to be writing out the other monosaccharides that we have. Now if we have 4, this is for 3, that's the basics. We cannot have less than 3. 3 is the smallest that we can have. So if we have 4, that's going to be tetra now. So that was going to be tetrosis. And what is the aldose for tetrosis? Is called erythrose. And for ketosis called erythrulose. So most of the time, whenever we have a name for aldose, the ketose name is always rulose. It's always ending with rulose, all of that. So that's for erythrose and erythrulose. Now for 5, we have pentose. We have pentoses, and here it's a little bit different. We have ribose, we have galactose, and sorry, I made a mistake. So we have ribose, we have xylose, and we have the third one, arabinose. So for the ketose family, you can guess what's going to sound like. That is ribulose and 2 xylulose. But please note, we don't have arabinulose, because I know that's probably what you are going to be expecting. We don't have arabinulose. We only have for ribulose and xylulose. We don't have arabinulose. So that's that on that. Now for the 6th one, they are called hexoses. These are the most common ones. I won't say they are the most useful, but they are actually the most common one. So we have we have glucose, we also have galactose, and we have mannose, and okay. So and for our ketones, we have fructose. is the one we have here. So fructose is very, very popular. Glucose is also very, very popular. Now, these are monosaccharides. Basically all these are monosaccharides, and the reason why we're learning about them is because they are the basics of all carbohydrates. They are the smallest units and they are the basics. If you want to draw disaccharide, you need to draw monosaccharides, probably 2 monosaccharides. If you want to draw oligosaccharide, probably 3 monosaccharides. If you want to draw polysaccharides, about 10 monosaccharides. So you need to know how to draw them. Now, after the end, as I said earlier, you are going to be very, very good at drawing them. It is very, very easy. You don't have to follow whatever is in your textbooks, so it's very, very easy. Now I'm going to be explaining. Now, since we know how we get our glyceraldehyde and dihydrogenation, which are very, very long name and probably scary, and with this explanation I believe you understand what they entail now, from our glycerol, which is basic alcohol. Now our tetrose and now let's go to our pentose, which is our ribose, xylose, arabinose, ribulose, xylulose. Now I'm going to be showing you how to draw your pentoses. Now to draw your pentoses is very easy. From the word pentose, you know they have five carbon atoms. Now one way to remember your pentoses is, the one way I remember them is let me write just very nice, is S-ray. X-ray. One way I remember them is X-ray. I use the mnemonic X-ray. So if you can remember X-ray, you know, okay, xylose, xylose, ribose, arabinose, and the Y you can you can keep the Y, but the Y actually makes it easier to remember. So now let's draw our first pentose. Now to draw our first pentose, we have to first of all draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 carbon atoms. So now, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we've drawn 5 carbon atoms. So now that we've drawn 5 carbon atoms, what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is to note that for a pentose, that's whether we are doing an aldose, our ribose is an aldose. If we want to draw ribulose, we know we are drawing a ketose. So for an aldose, what do I tell you about aldose? For an aldose, our hydrogen is going to be removed from what? From the first. So let's okay. Let's pour the OH. Sorry. Then this is going to be H2. This is going to be H. This is going to be H. This is going to be H. This is also going to be H2, definitely. So now, if we remove this from our ribose, we are going to remove them. We are going to have C. We're going to have H here. We're going to have C OH, H, C OH, H, sorry, C OH, H, C OH. Now you can see the structure we have based on how I explained how we got glyceraldehyde from glycerol. That's the same thing I'm doing here. I'm basically dehydrogenating this structure here, and I'm getting, okay, sorry, I'm dehydrogenating this structure to this structure here. Sorry, I'm dehydrogenating this structure to get this structure. So I'm removing the 2 hydrogen from the first carbon here. Let's name the carbon. I'm removing from the first carbon and getting my new structure. So this my new structure is basically ribose. So this structure here is the Fischer projection of ribose. You can see how easy it is. This is the Fischer projection of ribose. It is very, very easy. This is Fischer projection. As you can see, we have 4. We have, sorry. We have 4 OH group here. This is the Fischer projection for ribose. This is a linear projection. Now you might be seeing structures that looks like something like this, and all of that. Don't worry, we are going to get there. So let's look at our time is fast spent, so let's be very very fast. Now to draw your xylose and arabinose, if you already know how to draw your ribose, your xylose and arabinose should be very very easy. They should be very very easy. Now I'm going to explain why they are going to be very very easy. Now look at this. If you already have your ribose, now arabinose, we have arabinose. Let me write it out. We have arabinose and we have xylose. Now which one do you think should come first, A or Z? It's definitely A. So A should be before X. That's how I do remember difference between arabinose and xylose. So for arabinose, it is basically still ribose. The only difference is that now there's going to be a change in the position of the OH. For arabinose and xylose, still ribose. So I'm going to draw ribose again. So this is ribose. So to draw arabinose, all I have to do is just draw my ribose again. 1 2 3 4 5, and I know there's a O here. So and okay, on the second carbon, instead of now having my OH here, on this second carbon my O is going to be here. So I still have my H here. Everything is still the way it should be. So I'm still going to have this here. So this structure that I have here now, what is this structure that I have here? This structure that I have here is a linear structure for arabinose. Now I am sure most of you can predict what xylose is going to be. I'm sure most of you can predict what I want you to pause the video and try to draw xylose based on the hints I've given you. Now to draw xylose is very easy. Just draw the same thing. 1 2 3 4 5, and once you're able to draw your ribose, arabinose and xylose is very very easy. So now instead of your H going from the second carbon, now it's going to be from the third carbon. So all you have to do is to put your OH here for the third carbon, and H, OH, OH, OH. Now there's something I've been mistaken since. I told you guys that carbon has to be bonded to 4 groups. So if we have C here, we have H here, we have OH here, this has to be H2, H2, H2. Now in some probably some textbooks you might see them write it as this is xylose. Now in some textbooks you can see them write it as like this. You can see them draw it like this, like something like this. You will see C, then you see okay, C, you see H, then you see C, then you see OH, then you see H, then you see C, then you see H, then you see OH, then you see C, OH. Still the same thing, but these are, they are not going to do it. They are not at H, then you see C. Okay, they are going to do something like this. CH2OH. Yes, it is still the same thing with the C, our H2 and our OH. As you can see, CH2. So you can see like this, you can also see like this. So it's still the same thing. See the same thing. So that's that for xylose, arabinose, and ribose. For the Haworth projection, I'm going to be showing you just one example, and with that I am sure you can draw any other Haworth projection. So we don't have much time to spend, so let's be very fast. That's for that on arabinose and xylose. So back to our table. Which other one do we have? We have glucose, galactose, mannose, and fructose. That's the last ones remaining. Now to draw these structures, all you have to do is probably the same thing again. So we draw 1 2 3 4 5 6, but the difference here is that these structures now, they are 6 carbon, not 5 carbon. This one is 6 carbon, not 5 carbon, like the other one like ribose, xylose, and aminos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 carbon. So for our 6 carbon, let's assume that we are still doing the same thing. OH, OH, OH. Okay, so one way to get it easier with is glucose is very easy. Don't stress yourself. If you want to draw glucose, don't need to stress yourself. All you have to do, just remember xylose. Just remember that xylose and glucose are very related. So remember xylose, just draw the structure of xylose. Glucose is basically xylose, so just structure of xylose. Once you draw structure of xylose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have 0 H, you have H, you have OH, you have OH, you have H, you have H, you have OH, OH, H, but don't put H2. Now, the only thing you need to do for glucose is just add one more. Just add one more from. What am I drawing? Sorry, I think I made a mistake. Okay, this is Arabinos. I actually drew Arabinos instead of xylose. So 1, 2, 1, 2. I drew Arabinos instead of xylose. I'm going to correct that. Okay, so to correct it, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to draw the structure of xylose. So okay, so we have OH here. You can also draw with me. We have H here. We have H here. We have OH here. We have OH here. We have H here. Okay, so okay, OH, H, H, OH, OH, H. Then we have the last one, OH here. And we have H here. And we added one more, OH and H. So this is basically xylose for me. Okay, let me reduce this size. Let me reduce the size.